I went back onto my YouTube channel a couple of days ago and realized that I never really gave an explanation as to what happened to my career, really. Like, why did I quit the music business at basically the peak of my career? And so I thought maybe I would just make a video tonight, or not a video, just an audio recording about that very question. Why did I quit the music business? What was the reason? And there's a few of them, and I'll go through all of them. But the first reason for me was I did not know how to be mindful. And so I allowed every thought and every emotion and every feeling that I had and every person in the industry to affect me so deeply and quite often so negatively. And so what I don't want to do is blame the music industry for this. I loved the music industry. I had an incredible run. It was me. I was not equipped with the right mental skills to deal with some of the challenges that the music industry presents to anyone. So I let some people affect me so deeply and so negatively that it really impeded my ability to enjoy what I was doing. And I stopped enjoying what I was doing. In the last few years of my career, I guess it's okay to say I hated what I was doing. I hated the experience. I guess I still did enjoy what I was doing: producing, writing, singing, performing, mixing, engineering. I guess all of those things I did still enjoy, but the overall experience became so negative to me. So for anyone, any young person that is getting into the music industry, my advice would be just figure out how to stay mindful throughout it. For me, what I've discovered recently is that meditation is a wonderful way to help you stay focused on what actually matters. I don't want to tell you how to live your life or what to do, but if you are open to something like meditation, I would highly recommend adapting that into your daily life in the very early stages of trying to establish yourself in the music industry. Because that was something for me, I just didn't have that skill set. And so I suffered quite a bit. And so many instances arose where I was being challenged by somebody or some event or some, task that I had to do. And I just didn't possess the cognitive skills to withstand the pressures that brought on. And that's all on me. That's not because the industry is some awful thing. The industry is what it is. It has amazing opportunities and it has great, great challenges. It's really up to you to be equipped mentally and emotionally to deal with that and to find a way to flourish within that. So that was the first real thing that, as I looked back on my career, that was problematic and that caused me to not be able to really thrive. The next thing that, the next reason that I quit the business was so much of it was out of my control. If I were to work a different type of job, like let's just say I was a plumber, you get good at what you do, you go do it, you get paid for what you do, and there's no judgment. Either you do a good job and you get praised for it and you get paid for it, or you do a bad job and it's not really up for debate. If you do a bad job, whatever it is that you did doesn't work or doesn't work well, and there's no real debating that. You get bad reviews and, so on. But in the music business, it's a little bit different. You can do really, really great work. You can write a beautiful song. You can do an amazing vocal performance. You can produce a band, and it can just be a stellar, stellar recording. But it's still up to an audience to decide whether you actually did a good job or not. And that's kind of unique to the music business. You put in all of this work, and then somebody else decides whether you did a good job or not. And it's not always, and actually it's not very often, based in anything other than somebody's opinion. So I used the plumber example. If you go fix somebody's toilet and the toilet works after you fixed it, there's not some opinion that, he didn't do a good job, because your toilet works. But when you create a song, or you produce a band, or, you mix a record, it's so subjective. It's up to somebody's opinion, and that audience then basically decides whether you did a good job or not. And whether you did a good job or not is kind of irrelevant, because all that matters is their opinion as to whether you did a good job or not. I found that very challenging, and I certainly understood it. Of course, the audience votes. The audience gets to vote, and if they vote that you did a great job, then you win. And if they vote that you did not do a good job, then you lose. But I found that very hard, and I found that I kind of had a hard time squaring up with that. That always just left me feeling a little bit dissatisfied, because I have my own opinions, and when I would complete a project, I would think I did a really good job at it. And arguably, I did do a really good job at it, but it was not always received that way. So, that being said, it becomes kind of hard to gauge whether you're doing well or not. And I think that it's important, no matter what your job is, you have to, at some point, feel like you're doing a good job. Otherwise, you lose motivation, you lose spirit, you may not want to do the job anymore, or it may affect how you do your job. And it certainly did for me. When I think back of all of the records that I made, I'm quite proud of a lot of them. I'm not proud of all of them. There were certainly missteps. There were certainly times when I was, where maybe my ego got in the way, and I made creative decisions that I wouldn't make now. But that's part of it. For the most part, I did really, really good work, but it was never up to me to decide whether that good work was actually good work. It was always up to somebody else. And I found that very challenging. And I don't think it's that way in every line of work. I'm sure that it's that way in many lines of work, and I'm sure that people that are in those lines of work have faced these same challenges and maybe have the same mindset that I have about it. But I found that very challenging. I found it very upsetting, and that was another reason that I quit the business, was that I had lost that North Star. I no longer had this perspective of whether I was actually even doing a good job anymore, because it all came down to whether the audience was in the mood to like what I did, or whether they were more enamored by something else that somebody else did. So that was very difficult for me. And so if you are looking to get into this business, just be aware of the fact that whether you feel you did a good job on something, at some point that becomes irrelevant, and it's all up to the audience to decide. And that's just the way that it is. That's not a bad thing. That's just the way that it is. For me personally, I found that discouraging, and at some point, I found it intolerable. And then I guess the last thing that I would say is a reason that I quit the business is that I never was able to feel successful, because even though I had great successes, I was always fighting for that next success. And I think that's probably pretty typical in many, many lines of work. But that was something that I found so disturbing and so demotivating. You know, there's that saying, you can never rest on your laurels. But every once in a while, you want to be able to kick back and say, you know what? You did a good job on that. You should take a little time off. You should really celebrate this success. But there was something about the music industry that made me feel that I could never do that. It felt like a constant race. I guess rat race is the expression you would use. You just always felt like you were fighting for that next bit of success. And the last bit of success you had was already in the past, and nobody cared about it. And again, I felt that was demotivating, and it just eventually it wore me down. When I was young and I was getting into this music business, I imagined what it must feel like to sit on a beach with a drink in your hand after a major, major success, and just be able to high five everyone and congratulate yourself. And to be honest with you, I never felt that. With all of the successes that I had, and I had many, I never felt like I could kick back and congratulate myself or celebrate the hard work that I had done and how it had paid off. And again, maybe that's just my ego. Maybe that's just my ego being, wanting an attaboy, wanting a pat on the back. But I don't think that that's so outrageous to desire that. I think everyone, no matter what they're doing, they want to be able to feel a little bit of success. They want to be able to feel like they've done a good job and maybe hear it from somebody. Now, listen, I was paid extremely well for what I did. I'm not complaining about that. In my opinion, I was probably overpaid for what I did. But at some point, you just want an attaboy. Does that make sense? At some point, you just want that pat on the back, and you want to be able to kick back and think, okay, this was all worth it. And for some reason, for me, I never had that experience. For all of the success that I had, I never had that experience. And that was another reason that I just decided, well, there's nothing here for me anymore. I need to seek a sense of gratification elsewhere. So those are a few reasons that for me personally, I just, I had to make my exit. But I also want to finish this conversation by saying, I don't want to discourage you from pursuing your dreams. I'm not regretful of the pursuit that I was on. I'm not regretful of anything. I did have a wonderful career. I had an amazing career. I had an exciting life, in large part because of my career. And that's out there for you. It really is. I just want you to go into it prepared. I want you to go into it understanding that what you might be imagining may not be what's in store for you. But it is really incredible. It really is. It can be. I hope that you, like I said, I hope you go in prepared. And maybe some of the things that I said to you in this recording will help prepare you for it. Good luck.